I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for you specifically because obviously you're very passionate about writing in general. Let's talk about that book you're writing. So what?
Sure,
You have to give me the name again. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad with just remembering.
The Will of Corruption.
Will of Corruption. Okay, and the book is a sci-fi, not Harry Potter, more Avatar type beat.
Did you just say sci-fi?
No, sci-fi.
Sci-fi. They're like the science fiction genre.
Sci-fi.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to say sci-fi
movies.
I didn't mean to say sci-fi. I meant to say sci-fi. That's what I thought I said.
Right.
I'm sorry. Okay. Right. It's a sci-fi, but not Harry Potter type beat, more Avatar type beat. Yeah.
Yeah, so the sci-fi fantasy.
Okay. Will of Corruption. What is it about?
The Will. It
The
is
Will of Corruption,
about.
Sorry, the is very important. My bad. I'm so sorry.
You are probably one of the first people to properly ask me about this. I don't necessarily talk about this a lot.
Well, you can if you don't want to spoil the book. It's completely fine.
No. I can say a few things. I really don't mind.
Give it a bit of promotion, eh?
Sure, why not? It's been a work in progress for about 4 years now.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
It's got about 600 pages, I believe. Or was it 800? I've forgotten. But it's my passion project. This particular book is my reason for living, I will not lie. How do I say this? This has been my passion project. I've enjoyed doing this a lot. I've written a lot of it, and I think the most painful part of this process has been editing. I'll touch upon that very briefly. I need to get this out somewhere. It's so difficult because I would write something when let's say 2 years ago, I'd write something, but now looking back on it, I'm like, oh, I was a shit writer. You know, I need to go back and improve everything. And so the book's technically speaking, the book is finished. It's just going through a lot of rigorous editing. In terms of what it's about, the best way I would summarize it is a fantasy world, a fantasy sort of iteration of Earth, far into the future, where and during this book, a god of darkness arrives, and humanity is forced onto different planets.
Oh, and it's 4 years in the works. When do you reckon it'll be released? A year, 2 years, maybe sooner?
A year. I'd say a year. I know I said that a year ago as well, but I'd say around about a year. I think the most interesting part of writing, but I suppose this book, would be that throughout those 4 years, I think I spent 1 or 2 of those years writing the whole series. Like, I've got 7 books planned, and I know exactly what's going to happen in each of them, right down to the very minute details. And that results in me being able to write the first book perfectly, in terms of certain foreshadowing, in terms of things that one would overlook when reading it for the first time, but then later on, after they've read the second, third, maybe fourth book, they can look back on the first book, read that particular line, and say, oh, that makes sense.
How do you go about getting this book released? So is there a professional way of doing it, or is it just going to be kind of like how do you know how you do that? Because I have no clue. I've seen books.
I know it's.
So you know the whole process. Because doesn't it have to get approved or something as well?
Yes, I know. There's a very it's very I wouldn't say complex, but it's a process. That's all I'm going to say. I've been learning about this, for example, in my creative writing classes for university. There are certain topics we have in regards to how to publish a book. And obviously, I'd say this is the most complex sort of part of it. Writing it is easy, and then getting it published is just something else entirely. From what I know, my parents have been very supportive of me, and my father especially, he knows how to publish stuff, and so he's probably going to be the one who's going to be helping me a lot. I obviously know how to publish as well, to a certain degree, in terms of the editing process, in terms of working with a certain publisher and trying to get that out. But it's certainly, I've heard that it can take up to 4 years to publish a book. It can
take very long.
Yeah.
And are you going to have your real name linked to this, or is it going to be Cruubs on the book?
No, it's going to be my real name.
That's going to be your real name. Okay, we won't talk about that. I don't want to talk about that. I was just curious as to why it would be on.
It's me. Bro, I'm not gonna publish a book with the Cruubs on the front.
I mean, written by Cruubs01. I mean, it kind of slaps, just promote www.//.tv.
Yes, I'll put my Twitch on the front of it. Yeah.
Written by Twitch.tv Cruubs01.
Mm-hmm.
People just come to your chat and you're just playing Minecraft. Oh, so this is a really interesting part about the book. Yeah.
It's good. What's the law?
What's the law? Yeah. It's just like playing on the SMP role playing and people asking you about the book.
You know what? That actually doesn't sound too bad.
No, it'd be good to talk about on stream.
Yeah, I know. I feel like it'd be interesting to sort of get to know the author a bit more, you know?
Yeah, but I mean, I can always invite you back on the podcast when the book gets released. I haven't really been
Hell
Minecraft.
yeah.
But who
I'd be
knows?
down.
This might not always turn inside Minecraft. It could turn into like inside content creation or something like that.
True,
Inside
you could branch out.
Inside Minecraft kind of just works, so didn't it, really?
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a mainstay name.
So
I was also going to say.
Oh yeah.
I was also going to say very briefly about the thing. Oh yeah, mark my words here on this. If I do become a very successful author, which of course I will, and either that is linked to my streaming or whatever. Let's say both. Let's say in this perfect world, I become a pretty good streamer and a pretty good author. I can guarantee you now that there will be people who will look at my streams and read my book and say, "This is not the person who wrote this."
100%.
This is not the same person. The way I present myself towards in Twitch, like I'm goofy sometimes, I'm serious sometimes, whatever. That's the biggest thing I've heard from people who have read extracts of my book. It's like, there's no way you wrote this. There's no way you're the same person who wrote this, because the book is pretty dark. It gets dark, it gets gritty. There's a lot of serious subjects in there. There's a lot of death scenes. There's a lot of that sort of stuff. It's a book,
Yeah.
And that's sort of the introverted side of me writing that. It's the more the less silly, the more focused, the more serious part of me that's writing that, as opposed to Twitch and the way I present myself to the outside world. That's more of my extroverted side, I present myself as an interesting figure, blah blah blah, all that bullshit.
Whereas this is kind of like, I don't know, like, this is very like stereotypical. So I'm not saying it in a stereotypical way. I'm saying it as like an example. It's like when you stream, your glasses off, but when you're writing a book, your glasses on. Kind of. Does that make sense?
No, precisely, yeah.
Like you're a whole different person. Do you know like Superman? No one recognizes him when he has his glasses on. Like, you're a whole different person.
Yep, that's me. I'm Clark Kent.
Clark Kent. Is that your real name? It's written by Clark Kent.
Oh shit.
Twitch.tv Cruubs01.
I've exposed myself. Oh no.
Oh no. People are going to steal the book and your name. But yeah, I'm actually excited. Because I remember you saying about it previously, and I was going to talk about it anyways, but when you said it at the start of the podcast, it reminded me again. But I wrote down on my notes, have notes about what to talk about. I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm excited for you specifically, because obviously you're very passionate about writing in general.